Hello, my name is Peter Parsekian of the Saturday Night Chef. I've been cooking at home for 35 years, making elaborate dinners about once a week. These have come from traditional recipe sources, cookbooks, magazines, newspapers, that kind of thing, recently from the internet. But I've found that they've had serious limitations. Cookbooks are heavy, cumbersome, take up a lot of room on the countertop. If you're cooking a single recipe or two recipes from one book spread out over more than one page in a cookbook, it becomes fairly impossible to do a very complex meal under those conditions. And there's always a lot of pictures and stories and, location descriptions of the quaint countryside and why recipes work. Why do they include why recipes work in these cookbooks? I mean, is it important? All you care about is the recipe working. That takes up valuable space that they could be using to print in a larger font style. Instead of a 9-point, they could be printing in a 13-point, so you wouldn't have to just be 3 inches away from the recipe to read it. Also, they're very specialized, divided by country, types of food, cooking methods, barbecue, for example. And this means, at least to me, that I wind up using 2 or 3 recipes per cookbook, and I put it back on the shelf, and I don't use that book again unless I'm making those 2 or 3 recipes. Recipes from newspapers and magazines are not reliable. I have to usually make them 2 or 3 times before I feel comfortable with those recipes. Sometimes I never do feel comfortable. I don't know why that is. I think that the cooks don't write these professionally. The recipes are not written clearly and professionally. And of course, the biggest problem is a season that you might not be interested in at the time those recipes come out. If you're interested in, say, doing something for the fall and, you're looking at a summer issue, you're faced just with barbecue recipes. So you'd have to wait 2 or 3 months before you get a greater selection. It's a problem. You get a couple of offerings per issue, and you have to wait if you want something else to choose from. This could take years to collect a decent diversity of recipes. And again, it's the fine print, the fine print. You have to strain to read these recipes because they take up so much space with pictures and stories. Recipes from celebrity chefs on the internet leave out crucial cooking details, I've noticed. I mean, these are the kinds of details that they assume you have, and they separate a 2-star dinner from a 5-star dinner, from a okay meal from a great meal. And I think that these chefs assume you know this stuff. That's the only reason I can think of is why they don't leave it in the recipe. Why don't they describe how to blanch or brine, for example? I've seen these absent from some of the best recipes in the internet. And of course, printing from the internet again is a problem. Usually you have to print between pages, then you have to cut and paste and put them together, and again it's in a fine print. Often the timing of steps is missing from internet recipes. So that means that if you're preparing 2 sides in a main entree and you don't know what the finished steps will take in time, you're going to wind up with sides that are cold while the main entree is still cooking, or sides that are warm but a main entree that is overcooked. You don't know why they don't include that information. Special equipment is not listed many times. It means you're hunting for a special kind of pot or pan in the middle of a recipe. The Saturday Night Chef combines 95 restaurant quality recipes on index cards in an index box. These are divided by all the major food categories: beef, pork, ham, lamb, chicken, seafood, pasta, lots of sides, salads, barbecues. It's a source for all the seasons. There's a lot of variety in addition between each category. Recipes are printed on 9 by 7 cards, easily readable from 3 feet, and 2 acrylic holders are in the box that stand the cards off at a comfortable viewing angle and protect them from spills. Influences come from mostly Europe and America. Most importantly, These recipes are written to allow a casual home cook to prepare them the very first time without having to worry about trial and error. Very important. It's when you're doing complicated cooking, it's important to be able to make that claim, and we can, because we've made these recipes many, many times. An information booklet is included in the box that includes the preparation utensil and key food note guidelines, and this is critical, and I find some of this information missing from traditional sources. I mean, quality guidelines are critical. What do you look for in a good cut of filet mignon, for example? Or what does a good cut of swordfish look like? You're wasting your money if you go into a store without some of this information, in particular when you're buying beef. You should know what quality looks like, and it's almost never mentioned in the traditional sources that I've seen. You don't have to be a great cook or even a good cook to prepare a world-class dinner. What you need is a recipe for a great meal, and most importantly, one that is properly written. The Saturday Night Chef has eliminated the confusion and complexity and the mystery from upper-level cooking. Enjoy.